Hello, my name is Austin Habish, the founder of Think Catholic, and you're listening to the Summa podcast, where we study St. Thomas Aquinas' Summa Theologiae in a way simple and insightful for anyone to understand. The Summa podcast is brought to you by Think Catholic. Taking 2 questions of the Summa a day, we'll seek to summarize St. Thomas's responses, discovering the brilliance of Aquinas and his Catholic faith is day 297. So let's get started. We're covering today questions 79 and 80 of the supplement to the Summa. That is, of the conditions of those who rise again, and first of their identity, and of the integrity of the bodies in the resurrection. The translation that I always use in these podcasts is the one generously provided to me by Ave Maria Press, a 5-volume set translated by the fathers of the English Dominican province, which you can now get at a discounted price from Ave Maria Press's site by typing in the code SUMMA10, and so here we go. Article 1, whether in the resurrection the soul will be returned to the same identical body. Job says, "For I know that my Redeemer lives, and at last he will stand upon the earth. And after my skin has been thus destroyed, then from my flesh I shall see God, whom I shall see on my side, and my eyes shall behold, and not another." St. Thomas not only reminds us here that since the rational soul is the form of the human body, it could not be this soul united to a dog or an elephant or something like that in a kind of reincarnation fashion, but he also reminds us that for a person to be resurrected, the body which he or she once inhabited must be the same material which in some part comes back to life, or what is occurring would not be resurrection, strictly speaking. St. Thomas says, "We cannot call it resurrection unless the soul return to the same body, since resurrection is a second rising, and the same thing rises that falls. Wherefore resurrection regards the body which after death falls rather than the soul which after death lives. And consequently, if it be not the same body which the soul resumes, it will not be a resurrection, but rather the assuming of a new body." Thus we can respond to our article with the authority of Holy Scripture, coupled with the resurrection itself, what it itself must entail, that in the resurrection the soul will be united to the same identical body. Article 2, whether it would be identically the same man that shall rise again. And we could answer this article based on what we said in the last article, that it will be the same man, the same soul, reinforming, same body, in part, at least, in the resurrection. I would also like to quote St. Thomas from this article in regards to his defense of the resurrection in general. He argues that neither God nor nature does anything in vain or to no purpose, since this would be contrary to wisdom. But without the resurrection, all men everywhere and always would fail to reach the end of man, which is beatitude, both because a separated soul is not, strictly speaking, a man, and because a rational soul would also be diminished in its happiness without reinforming the human body. It's the form of the body. And thus, without the resurrection, God would have indeed made man to, in all cases, fail to reach his end, his crowning end or goal, which is again contrary to the wisdom of God. In St. Thomas's words here, the necessity of holding the resurrection arises from this, that man may obtain the last end for which he was made. For this cannot be accomplished in this life, nor in the life of the separated soul. Otherwise, man would have been made in vain if he were unable to obtain the end for which he was made. And since it behooves the end to be obtained by the selfsame thing that was made for that end, lest it appear to be made without purpose, it is necessary for the selfsame man to rise again. And this is effected by the selfsame soul being united to the same body. Article 3, whether the ashes of the human body must needs be by the resurrection returned to the same parts of the body that were dissolved into them. Aquinas will argue here that the parts which were of the heart or the bone or the liver, let's say, must come back as those parts in the resurrected body to maintain an identity in body, although they could shift position while retaining their kind. Also, if certain skin or hair cells are not resurrected, that's okay because, of course, we go through these cells incessantly. Aquinas argues that this is what's required for an identity between the old and the resurrected body, that the matter of the parts remain the same kind of parts in the resurrection. He will go further to say that beyond this, it is also congruous or fitting that such parts return to even their exact position in the body. He writes, But speaking of the congruity, it is more probable that even the parts will remain their same position at the resurrection, especially as regards the essential and organic parts, although perhaps not as regards the accidental parts, such as the nails and hair. We turn then to question 80 of the integrity of bodies in the resurrection. Article 1, whether all the members of the human body will rise again. In a sentence from our article, it follows that man also must rise again perfect, seeing that he is thereby repaired in order that he may obtain his ultimate perfection. Consequently, all the members that are now in man's body must needs be restored at the resurrection. Article 2, whether the hair and nails will rise again in the human body. And because they are part of man's perfection, as an individual, as a human being, they are a product of nature to man's own good, we should expect to see them again. As St. Thomas teaches, consequently, although they do not belong to the primary perfection of the human body, they belong to the secondary perfection. And since man will rise again with all the perfections of his nature, it follows that hair and nails will rise again in him. Article 3, whether the humors will rise again in the body. We're talking about the liquids of the human body here, and the general rule is that whatever liquids are required for the perfection of the human body, they will be there. Other things like sweat or urine or reproductive fluids, we should not expect because they are about supplying some kind of deficiency which will not exist in the resurrected state, or they have to do with procreation, which also will not occur in the glorified state. As Jesus Christ taught us, the sons of this age marry and are given in marriage, but those who are accounted worthy to attain to that age and to the resurrection from the dead neither marry nor are given in marriage, for they cannot die any more, because they are equal to angels and are sons of God, being sons of the resurrection. Article 4, whether whatever in the body belonged to the truth of human nature will rise again in it. And there is an unbelievable amount of ink spilled on this question. It is mostly asking whether all of the food and drink which was consumed over our lifetime, whether the matter there is going to come back to you or is it going to go elsewhere. It looks like St. Thomas is simply giving the opinions he's aware of and his believes are worth mentioning, that we should settle on that whatever belongs to you as essential to the perfection of your body will be received again by you, provided it's not something like every hair cell you ever possessed, every skin cell you ever possessed. And the article here is tricky to parse out because St. Thomas does not have the biology to look at that we have today and then compare it to Scripture and come to a conclusion. But to quote St. Thomas and Job, again, Aquinas writes, if anything belonging to the truth of human nature in a man be taken from his body, this will not be the perfect body of a man. Now all imperfections of a man will be removed at the resurrection, especially in the elect, whom it was promised in Luke 21 that not a hair of their head should perish. Therefore, whatever belonged to the truth of human nature in a man will rise again in him. And again, Job tells us, and after my skin has been thus destroyed, then from my flesh I shall see God. Article 5, our last article, whether whatever was materially in a man's members will all rise again. And this cannot be the case. If every hair you ever had was part of your resurrected body, you would look unperfect, to put it mildly. Again, whatever was material of you in the past will be resurrected as is required for your perfection, the perfection of the resurrected body. To quote St. Thomas, bringing this episode to a close, he writes, wherefore the whole of what is in man will rise again. If we speak of the totality of the species, which is dependent on quantity, shape, position, and order of parts, but the whole will not rise again if we speak of the totality of matter. With that, we've just finished questions 79 and 80 of the supplement to the Summa, that is, of the conditions of those who rise again, and first of their identity and of the integrity of the bodies in the resurrection. My name is Austin Habis with Think Catholic, and I cannot wait to see you tomorrow.